This is the House Committee on Nutrition and Food Security, the journey so far. On Thursday, November 30th, 2024, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Right Honorable Tajuddin Abbas, PhD, GCON, announced Right Honorable Chike Okafor, PhD, as the chairman of a novel standing committee, the Committee on Nutrition and Food Security. Speaker Abbas stated the committee aligns with the House legislative agenda on economic growth and development, Agenda 4, and is tasked with advancing targeted actions to combat hunger, malnutrition, and food insecurity in both the short and medium term. On Thursday, February 29, 2024, Speaker Tajuddin Abbas inaugurated the committee. Speaker Abbas, who was represented at the inauguration ceremony by the Majority Leader of the House, Right Honorable Julius Ihonvere, reiterated that the committee is very crucial to the vision of the House to be responsive, results-oriented and effective in performing its constitutional mandate towards the security and welfare of Nigerians.
So the mandate of the Committee on Nutrition and Food Security is clearly documented, clearly stated in the current edition of the Standing Orders of the House of Representatives. But beyond that, as it is stated there, everything that has to do with nutrition, everything that has to do with food, as it is domiciled in any ministry, department or agency of government. Beyond that, after the Speaker announced the committee on the 30th of November 2023, I had a session with him and he shared with me his vision, why he had to come up with this very brand new novel committee. You may recall that was at the time we were having quite a lot of natural disaster, especially remember the flooding that happened in Borno State, and then of course the crisis, the headers crisis with farmers and all that has affected the production, of course the farming and production, and then of course generally the food value chain in this country. So ours is to legislatively provide some solution to assist the executive government in curbing the twin challenges of malnutrition and lack of food. So clearly in the standing orders, we are to look through the ministries and agencies of government and see if and where we have issues that has to do with nutrition and food, and then provide legislative support, legislative oversight on the nutrition and food items across ministries, departments and agencies of government. Clearly. So that's what our mandate is. And beyond that, the Speaker made it very clear to me that this is his own way of trying to support the government of the day, and then to provide solutions, support and provide solutions on how to curb the twin issues, challenges that are facing us, notably malnutrition and food scarcity. So that's
the first step taken by the House Committee on Nutrition and Food Security after its inauguration and the mandate given to it by the Speaker was the hosting of a 3-day retreat with the 36 speakers of the State Houses of Assembly in Owerri, the Imo State capital. At the retreat, Speaker Tajuddin Abbas, who was represented by Right Honorable Miriam Onoha, emphasized the importance of the meeting. He expressed optimism that the State Houses of Assembly will be better sensitized on the necessity of a Nutrition and Food Security Committee in their legislatures. The opening ceremony of the Owerri retreat was followed by technical sessions during which experts, development partners and lawmakers brainstormed on different important topics. During the retreat, Honorable Okafor commended the Speaker of the Oyo State House of Assembly and Chairman of the Conference of Speakers, Right Honorable Debo Ogmudoyin, for galvanizing his colleague speakers and for providing legislative leadership at the state level. The Chairman House Committee on Nutrition and Food Security noted that Ogmudoyin's prompt response to the call for the involvement of State Houses of Assembly was pivotal to the success of the Owerri retreat. He also commended the role of development partners for their support to Nigeria's development and growth.
One of my proudest moments was when I got the phone number of the current chairperson of the Conference of Speakers of Nigeria, who the current Speaker of Oyo State House of Assembly, Right Honorable Debo. I called him and I shared the vision of the committee with him on phone. That was ahead of our retreat, our inaugural retreat in Owerri, between the 2nd of May and the 4th of May 2024. And the young man, I hadn't met him before, and he said, Right Honorable, if it's about putting food on the table and making food available for Nigerians, I'm going to be there. And he was in Owerri, rightly, with so many of his speakers, and that meeting in Owerri has formed, or was what formed the basis, the foundation of what we have to do as National Legislative Network on Nutrition and Food Security. Because one of the takeaways from the meeting, the retreat in Owerri, was that the speakers of the various states of assembly agreed to go back to their states and set up a similar committee on nutrition and food security across 36 states of the Federation, as we have it today. So, combination of my committee as a House of Representatives and the committees in 36 states is what we have today as National Legislative Network on nutrition and food. So the support from the speakers, particularly the support I started getting from the current Speaker of Oyo State House Assembly, I can tell you is what has also contributed to the success that we have recorded today.
On his part, Chairman of the Conference of Speakers and Speaker of the Oyo State House of Assembly, Honorable Debo Ogundoyin, assured that the State Houses of Assembly will key in on the plan to reduce food insecurity and hunger through legislative action. On 22nd of July 2024, Speaker Tajuddin Abbas, PhD, GCON, represented by the Deputy Speaker, Right Honorable Benjamin Kalu, launched the Network on Nutrition and Food Security. He also declared open a 2-day retreat by the network. The network consists of chairmen of state houses of assembly, committees on nutrition and food security, and clerks of committees. Also at the retreat, the majority leader of Ekiti State House of Assembly, Honorable Tolilokwe Ige, was elected the chairman, Forum of Chairpersons of Committees on Nutrition and Food Security in the State Houses of Assembly. Speaker Tajuddin Abbas, PhD, was also decorated as the national patron on the National Legislative Network on Nutrition and Food Security. The launch of the National Legislative Network served as a platform for lawmakers from the states and the National Assembly to discuss the problems and solutions with regard to nutrition and food security. Development partners and experts led the discussions during the technical sessions. Earlier in the opening ceremony, the Minister for Health, Professor Mohammed Ali Pati, the Minister for Agriculture and Food Security, Senator Abubakar Kyari, and the Minister for Budget and Economic Planning, Senator Abubakar Atiku Bagudu, took turns to share the sectorial interventions, programs and policies introduced by the Tinubu administration to significantly reduce hunger, malnutrition and poverty.
Rising from the retreat in Owerri, where we had discussions with the speakers, and then the understanding that they should go back and set up the committees on nutrition and food security. And the reason is very simple. When we started the conversation, immediately the committee was inaugurated by the Right Honorable Speaker. It dawned on me that the conversation on how to improve on the loss of Nigeria with respect to nutrition and food cannot start and end in Abuja. There was a need to take it to the subnationals, that is the states, and then of course subsequently to local governments, like we have it today in N774. When we finished from Owerri between 2nd and 4th of May, we now, after the committees, the various House of Assembly had set up the committees in their houses, the chairmen or chairpersons and their clerks converged in Abuja on the 22nd of July 2024, and then for 2 days. Well, the first day we inaugurated the network, and then incidentally, the chairpersons kept together and appointed Tolilokwe Ige, who is the current majority leader of Ekiti State House Assembly, as their chairperson. And they have other offices, including zonal chairmen. So we have 6 sub-chairmen in the 6 geopolitical zones. And they could see that when we paid the courtesy call on the speaker sometime in March this year, and also a courtesy call on the vice president. So we took along the sub-zonal chairmen or chairpersons, and then we paid courtesy call on the Right Honorable Speaker and then the vice president. So what happened in July was the inauguration of the National Legislative Network. That's comprising my members of the House of Reps Committee on Nutrition and Food Security, and the chairman and clerks of the corresponding committee in the 36 States House of Assembly.
Following the success of the retreat for speakers of the 36 Houses of Assembly in Owerri and the launch of the Legislative Network in Abuja, Speaker Tajuddin Abbas, PhD, GCON, on Thursday, July 31st, 2024, announced plans to host a national summit on nutrition and food security. Speaking at the inauguration of the local organizing committee of the planned summit held at the House of Representatives wing of the National Assembly, Abbas said the House recognized the need to intervene in the growing crisis of hunger, malnutrition, and food insecurity. Abbas was represented at the LOC's inauguration by the Deputy Speaker, Right Honorable Benjamin Kalu. In recognition of the legislative oversight work carried out by the House Committee on Nutrition and Food Security, Honorable Chike Okafor was appointed into the Nutrition and Food Security High-Level Strategic Board for Nutrition 774 initiative. The House of Representatives welcomed the appointment of Honorable Chike Okafor in a statement issued by its spokesman, Honorable Akinrotimi Jr. on Saturday, June 21st. The appointment was made by the Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Senator Kashim Shettima, GCON, who is the chairman of the National Council on Nutrition. The board, formally inaugurated on Friday, June 20th, comprises of key stakeholders drawn from federal and subnational levels of government.
It is for us to, as a legislature, to bring relevant stakeholders and experts under one roof for 3 days, starting from the 8th of July to the 10th of July, to begin to have some heart-to-heart conversations and discussions. That also, we're not only looking at the stakeholders from the ministries of agriculture, health, budget and planning, and of course, we're also looking at the development partners who are also speaking to the same topic, the same challenges of nutrition and malnutrition and lack of food. We will come under one roof and then begin to provide solutions. And then I'm very, very confident that at the end of the day, the conversation will get to a point where we'll probably generate communique and then a roadmap that will help the government of His Excellency Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu to further do so much as much more that they are doing to ensure that food is not just available but is affordable.